You might think that being a boss or a leader is a great experience, right? Because if you look at social media, and I know most of you, some of you even have this goal. Maybe, oh, I want to become a CEO. I want to become the boss of a big company or something like that. First of all, yes, let me tell you that is a good goal. If you can become a leader of a big group, manage big things. Of course, yeah, let's just talk about the money. Of course, there's definitely lots of money to be earned, and that's definitely a really good prestige, a really good experience too. But let me just tell you, it is not gonna be fun. I mean, okay, maybe it is fun if you really like being a leader, if you really want to become responsible for something. But what I'm trying to tell you is there's lots of things behind it. It's not easy. It's not what people see. It's not what you always see on the internet, which is like, oh yeah, being a the CEO of XXX something like that, right? It's really cool on the Instagram bio, you know. Everyone just thinks of the cash, you know, the cash, whatever, the car, like that. Yeah, but that's what people see. But most people don't know because most of these CEOs and and the big social medias, they don't show you what's really going on. So I will explain to you what I'm talking about by being a boss is not fun. And I'm just gonna say this with my experience of I have been a head of a big uni event. Like I was just outright the head. I was at the very top. With this, let me just first go to the old analogy of teacher versus student. If you're like me, I mean, I've had this thought before when I was in like fifth grade. I've always looked at my teacher and go like, my teacher is so good. Why? She doesn't need to do homework. She just needs to write stuff on the board. She just needs to tell us what to do and check our papers. We students need to do the homework. I don't want to do my homework. But that's exactly what that is. That's something a fifth grader would say. Now that we're like older, I'm assuming you don't have the brain of a fifth grader, right? And you can actually think about, the role of a teacher and student. Let's think about the role of a teacher. What's the role of a teacher? Well, of course, as a teacher, they need to teach. But what does teaching mean? Teaching means preparing material. Preparing material. Other than preparing material, what does it mean? Effort to make the class interactive, let's say, maybe, right? Pokoknya, what I'm trying to say is they still need to prepare something. Unless you're like a god or something. I don't know. I've never been a teacher, so I don't know. You probably would want to prepare some. Low battery warning. I'm sorry. Anyways, you would probably want to prepare something like a lesson plan. What's the plan for this day? Like, what do you need to teach? What does the students need to know? What's the goal, right? That's a lot of planning behind that. Other than teaching, what does that mean, right? Of course, they need to have meetings. What do I mean by meetings? You think being a teacher is just going to school and then doing home? No. The heads, the managing department of the school. So maybe if you're just a basic teacher, there's gonna be your academic head, right? The head of the subject, yeah, the subject head. Well, of course, the subject head also has the role of like, okay, all the teachers for math, let's have a meeting. Let's see how are your students, how are you performing, how are their grades. So yeah, they also need to evaluate students' grades. And also, if let's say some students are bad in their grades, they also need to think about what, for example, remedial, right? And of course, the basic stuff of like checking papers and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure there's more, but that's all I have in my head. Now, if you're a student, if you're a fifth grade student complaining about your teacher, saying that the teacher can just do whatever they want, what's your role as a student? You just need to look at the whiteboard, do homework, study, and do good. That's it. Do you see it now? In this case, we can say that the teacher is the boss and the student is the employee, right? Because some people just think boss is like, oh yeah, enak banget jadi leader. It's so nice being a leader. You just tell people what to do. But that's not the case. behind a leader, and okay, I'm gonna start using leader because, in my opinion, I don't know if this is really true or not, but the way I look at it, a boss is like, the stereotype of like someone that just tells people what to do, literally just tells people what to do. That's it. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I just don't really like the word boss. Of course, we have the negative connotation of like bossy, something like that. So honestly, the boss title is just clickbait. What I actually prefer to use, the good notes I've crossed it, is leader. So I will just use leader from now on. Anyways, you would think being the leader is the one that's nice, right? You just need to tell people what to do and have your employees or the people under you do it. But here's the thing, right? Like this. Let's just use the head of my uni event. Like as the head, I need to make decisions. I need to make decisions on what to do. Then those decisions of what people need to do, I give it to the respective divisions. Now, here's the problem. Let's say one of my divisions is underperforming. Let's say, for example, design. Let's say they need to make an Instagram post because I've decided to sponsor with, for context, the event I'm talking about is a robotics competition. So, for example, I want to partner with a robotics media partner, right? Yeah, media partner. I can't be asked to write that. And let's say they want me to put their logo on our poster. If let's say the design team fails to do that, right? Let's say late poster. Who's the one that's going to be responsible for that? It's the head. The thing that people seem to not realize between in this hierarchy of like being a leader and also just being the member, if a member fucks up, it's the leader's responsibility. If the leader fucks up, it's also his responsibility. And if let's say we talk about important meetings, right? If we talk about important meetings, if let's say you want to talk to the rector office of your campus, ain't no way you're sending a normal member to meet him, right? Who's the one meeting the rector? The head, and probably the other executive committee members. And here's the thing, you think meeting with a higher up is nice? Hell no. There's lots of pressure. The pressure is high. As a member, as I've said, it's just like the student and teacher analogy. As the employee, as the member, as the student, all you need to do is do what you're told. That's literally it. As the teacher, as the head, you're the one that... See, the student can just do whatever they want. They just need to do what is told. Now, with what has been done, the teacher, the head, is the one that needs to think about what the student has done, right? If they performed well, then okay, good. If the student didn't perform well, that's also the teacher's responsibility. They need to make sure that they still, perform well. They can continue to perform well. They can fix up. I hope what I'm saying can get into your head, but that's basically what I'm trying to tell you. As I said here, as I wrote here, with great power comes great responsibility. Yes, as the head of the division, as the head of the entire event, you have the greatest power. You're basically the big boss, you're the leader. You're the one that makes decisions. You can tell people what to do. But that's also your biggest responsibility. You need to think about what you need to do. You need to think about, okay, how can we make this team go forward? What do we need? What needs to be done? If we want to talk to sponsors, what do we need? What are they asking from us? And then you need to think, okay, the sponsors want this from me. I need to give it to my design team. They need to do this and they need to do that. They need to do this so we can excel in X. They need to do that to excel in Y. And so on and so forth. I know this is quite a lot to digest, but I hope you can understand. And what's making me reflect about this again is the fact that now I am an engineering intern. right? Okay, I don't think I'm gonna have anything to write actually, so I'll just keep the screen like this and I'll just talk to the camera directly. I am now a engineering intern. I'm in my third week of my internship, and I've basically went down from, the head of a big uni event to I'm just an employee. I'm not even an employee, just an intern. I'm only gonna be here for like 2.5 months. And my experience being an intern, being a normal employee, just solidifies this fact. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna call it a fact, but like it's just knowledge. I don't want to be too convictuous, but yeah, whatever lah. It just solidifies this opinion, this thought I have written down here for you guys even more. As an intern, as a basic employee, my shift is from 8 until 4:30. Once 4:30 hits, I can just go home. I don't need to give a shit about production that's not running well, if let's say that's happening. I don't need to care about, let's say, if there's a machine that needs to be fixed, you know? I don't need to care about meetings with possible customers or sponsors. No. 4:30 hits, I'm done for the day. I get to go home. Now imagine if I was the, like, say, general manager, right? Yes, the general manager is the big boss, right? They're the most well known. Everyone is the everyone is below him. He's the big boss. He makes the decisions. He's the one that commands the most respect. But I'm sure he has the most work. Probably like meetings left and right. If let's say just a certain section of the company, let's say production is not doing well, he's the one that needs to think about it. And this also includes in the small scale. Head of production. If the production is not doing good, head of production, that's his or her responsibility. The production members, they honestly, yeah, they are kind of responsible for it, but not as much as the head of production themselves. If you're just a production member, you have the same thing applied. If you're done, Yoda, you're just done. You don't need to think about it. Whose job is it to think about it? The head. It's the job of the head of production to think about, okay, we're struggling here. What do we need to do? Is there something wrong with production? Is the production members just slacking off and I need to, tell them to work harder or what? And that's basically it. That's what I'm trying to tell you in this video. Hope you can understand. Hope what I'm saying to you today can be of good benefit. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.